Hello, my name is Harry Zhang, and I'm a senior student about to enter the University of Waterloo. Although I live in Canada, I have taken the SAT and received a score of 1560, 760 in reading and writing, as well as 800 in mathematics. Precisely 1 wrong in reading, 1 wrong in writing and conventions, and 0 wrong in mathematics. At my first attempt at the SAT, I did not score so well. So I completely understand the situation you are in right now. I guarantee you, if you follow my advice in this video, you will improve significantly and achieve your desired SAT score. In this video, I'm going to show you my tips and strategies for acing the SAT. Remember, this video will only cover the general tips, and I'll be making more of section-specific videos later on. As an outline of this video, I'm going to first give you tips that you can use if you have sufficient time before the SAT, so around 3 months-ish. Then the general tips that you can use no matter where you are, resources, as well as my final thoughts. Please feel free to skip over to the sections that you need so that you don't have to see this entire video. So now let's talk a bit about what you can do to actually study for the SAT. In other words, if you have some time, how do you exactly prepare for the SAT itself? Tip number 1. Make sure to complete at least one test to understand your weaknesses. For example, let's say you got around 15 wrong in reading, 10 wrong in writing, and 5 wrong on mathematics without making any careless mistakes. It is statistically easier to improve your reading mark since you obtained a lower mark in that section. In other words, it's more difficult to study to receive a perfect score on a certain section than to receive a better score on your weaker section. Doing a samples test also helps you to grasp how the overall test is set up and what to exactly expect from the actual test. Tip number 2. Create a schedule to manage your studies accordingly. In your first few weeks, when you're starting to study for the SAT, you should focus on actually doing and completing those practice tests. And later on, gradually time your sessions, record how many questions you can do in certain parts to see how well you are doing overall. You should also allocate enough time to check over your answers and understand exactly why you got the answer incorrect. The latter part, where I checked over my work diligently, really helped me to improve, since I now knew what exactly I was doing wrong, and even made a notebook full of these incorrect questions and how I could tackle them later on. So essentially, as for myself, I had about 6 months prior to my SAT, and every week I made sure that I do one practice test, spending about 4 hours actually doing the test, as well as 2 hours checking over that test. Tip number 3. A lot of students forget that they have peers, other seniors, as well as teachers that you can ask and use for advice. Chances are these people around you have actually done the SAT or other admissions tests overall. Make sure to utilize the resources that you have around you. You can ask for their SAT tips or even why you got a certain question wrong on your practice test. For example, my English teacher really helped me to tackle the reading section of the SAT by helping me to learn how to read these passages more quickly to answer the questions in advance. Now I'll be talking about some of the general tips that you can use when you actually do the SAT. So tip number 1, time management. First of all, always aim to finish 10 minutes before the actual deadline when the time limit is up for each and every section. This rule will help you to not only push through the test, but also to check over your answers at the end. Second, if you can't answer a question in about 5 to 10 seconds after reading it, move on quickly. Depending on the SAT section, you have about less than a minute for each question, and it's better to move on and answer the questions you may already know in the future section. And if you have to come back, you can always do so after quickly passing through this test. Third, do not transfer your answer from the SAT test package to the Scantron one by one. It's surprising how many students actually do this, and I myself did this before realizing this mistake. You lose about 2 to 5 seconds by recording your answer from your SAT test package and recording that to your Scantron sheet. Instead, what you should do is record all of your answers on this SAT test package in groups and then transfer your answers onto your Scantron in these groups themselves. And this will help you to save about 2 to 5 minutes for the actual SAT section, especially in the reading section, which has a lot of questions. So overall, in terms of time management, what I would do in the SAT test for, let's say, a reading section, I would first read the passage really quickly, go look at the questions, finish the questions, and even for the questions that I don't know exactly, I would still guess it. And by having about 11 questions on the SAT reading passage, I would record those 11 questions. After they're done, I back into the Scantron and move on to the next passage. After that's done, I would have about 5 to 10 minutes to actually check over my work to see if I recorded the answers properly to the Scantron, and also to go over some questions that I may have gotten wrong. Tip number 2. Cover the answers before you actually attempt the question. This will help you to think about the question, eliminating the possibility of being tricked by the wrong answer choices. Also, if your answer that you thought of matches with one of the answers that are listed in the SAT task package, you can quickly move on to the next question without even reading the other answer choices, again saving more time. Tip number 3. Eliminate answer choices that contain words such as never or always. And the reason is because these words such as never and always are absolutes or extremes. And by doing so, by including these adjectives in these answer choices, you essentially make this answer choice improbable to be correct. There's only one SAT out of the practice tests that I've done that included never and always as an answer choice, as the correct answer choice. So the chances are, if an answer choice has either never or always, eliminate it as soon as possible. Classify what the question is testing. For example, for writing and language section, there may be questions that ask sentence structure. Or for reading section, there may be questions that ask word choice questions. Make sure to understand exactly what the question is asking for. And this will really help you to be not confused by other answer choices that might be listed with the correct answer choice. You probably heard this tip a lot, but your first answer choice will most likely be correct. Only change your answer choice if you have a valid reason. Otherwise, your first answer choice is probably correct because you have your own innate reasoning. Answer all the questions. Make sure you answer all the questions. When I finished the SAT, some of my peers were like, I didn't finish this question from this section. There is absolutely no penalty in getting an incorrect answer on the SAT reasoning test. So please, don't leave any blanks within your questions. Guess if you have to at the end.
Thanks so much for watching our video. This is the first video on our channel. So if you want to see part 2, click this circle here to subscribe to our channel. Also, if you want to see our future videos, make sure you click these rectangles here. But if this is the only video on our channel, then this is going to be blank.